I found my wife's diary. It says she plans to kill the monster wearing my skin. My wife keeps a list of all the ways I'm not her husband. I found it this morning, tucked inside the old wooden box where she keeps her mother's knitting needles. It's been 3 days since she tried to kill me. I'm writing this from a hospital bed that smells like bleach and despair, and I still don't know who to be more afraid for, her or myself. Before the world went sideways, there was Leora. We met in this speck of a town in West Virginia, the kind of place where last names matter more than first names, and everyone knows whose dog is whose. I ran a small electrical repair business out of my truck. She taught 3rd grade and had this way of smiling that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. Our life wasn't exciting. It was better. It was real. It was real. It was the smell of coffee in the morning and sawdust on my clothes in the morning and sawdust on my clothes in the evening. It was watching her hum while she tended to her little garden of herbs, her hands covered in dirt. It was quiet nights on the porch swing, listening to the cicadas buzz, not needing to say a word. We didn't have a lot, but we had this sense of solidness, like a deep, quiet river. We were building a life, talking about kids, what we'd name them. I was happy. I thought she was, too. The change started slow. A crack so fine you'd miss it if you weren't looking. It began with her sleep, or lack of it. She'd lie beside me, rigid as a board, her eyes wide open in the dark. I'd ask her what was wrong, and she'd just shake her head, a little too quickly. Just a bad dream, Oren. Go back to sleep. But she wouldn't. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. to find her side of the bed cold. I'd find her in the living room, just sitting in the dark, staring at the wall. Then came the nightmares she would talk about. Vague, awful things. A man with my face but empty eyes. A voice that sounded like mine but said terrible, twisted things. I told her it was stress. The kids at school were a handful this year. I tried to hold her, to comfort her, but she started flinching from my touch. A casual hand on her shoulder would make her gasp and pull away. It felt like being stabbed with a tiny icicle, over and over. Then she started watching me. It wasn't just watching. It was studying, cataloging. I'd be drinking my morning coffee, and I'd feel her gaze on the back of my neck, hot and heavy. I'd turn, and she'd snap her head away, pretending to be wiping the counter, her movements jerky and unnatural. I'd go out for a smoke and see the curtains twitch in the bedroom window. I came out of the shower once, and she was standing in the hallway, her eyes wide, just staring at my bare chest. She didn't say anything, just turned and walked away, leaving me cold and dripping on the bath mat. The silence between us grew. It wasn't the comfortable quiet we used to have. It was a thick, suffocating thing, filled with unspoken questions. She stopped asking about my day. She'd hide her phone when I walked into the room. Our family photos, the ones on the mantelpiece, started to disappear one by one. I asked her where they went. She said she was putting them in an album. I never saw that album. I had to know what was going on. I couldn't live with this ghost in my house anymore. So one night, when I felt her get out of bed, I didn't stir. I just lay there, my breathing even, my heart hammering against my ribs. I heard her soft footsteps on the hardwood floor. They stopped right beside me. For a full minute, there was only the sound of her shaky breathing. I could feel her presence, a cold spot in the warm room. I could feel her looking down at me, judging me. The mattress dipped as she sat on the edge of the bed. Her hand, cold as ice, reached out and brushed against my left forearm. Her fingers traced a line on my skin, slow and deliberate. I almost flinched. The air felt electric. Then I heard her whisper, a tiny, broken sound that cut right through me. "It's not here. It's supposed to be here." She pulled her hand back like she'd been burned. A choked sob escaped her lips, and then she was gone, her footsteps hurrying out of the room. The front door clicked shut. I opened my eyes, staring into the darkness. What wasn't there? What was she looking for? My mind was a frantic mess of confusion and a deep, gnawing fear. My wife was becoming a stranger. Or worse, she thought I was. The next morning, she left for work before I woke up. The house felt huge and empty. I knew I was crossing a line, but I didn't care. I started searching. I was a man possessed, tearing through closets, pulling out drawers, desperate for an answer. After an hour, I found it. In the back of her closet, under a pile of old blankets, was a small wooden box. Inside, there was a plain, black notebook. Her notebook. My hands shook as I opened it. Her familiar, neat cursive filled the first few pages. But as I read, the writing became a frantic, jagged scrawl. The ink was smeared in places, blurred by what I knew were tears. The first entry was dated 2 months ago. Something is wrong with Oren. He looks the same, but his smile doesn't reach his eyes anymore. It's like a mask he puts on. I asked him about the Abernathy's dog. He couldn't remember its name. Oren loved that dumb dog. I felt a chill creep up my spine. I flipped through the pages, my nausea growing with each entry. He made coffee this morning. He used 2 scoops of sugar. Oren always uses one. Always. When I pointed it out, he just laughed and said he was tired. He's lying. His right hand twitches when he lies. I watched him sleep. I had to be sure. The scar isn't there. The big, ugly one on his left forearm, from when he fell through the barbed wire fence behind the old mill when he was 10. He told me that story on our second date. He was so embarrassed by it, he said it was a part of him. This man's skin is smooth. Perfect. Who is he? The words swam in front of my eyes. A scar? Barbed wire? I've never had a scar on my forearm, not a big one anyway. I'd remember that, wouldn't I? My whole body went cold. I felt like I was going to be sick. I turned to the last page, my hands slick with sweat. I can't do this anymore. This thing is living in my house. It wears my husband's face. It knows his memories. But it is not him. I have to get it out. I have to do it for Oren. Wherever he is, I won't let this monster wear his skin. My phone buzzed on the counter, making me jump out of my skin. It was Sheriff Brody, an old friend of the family. Oren, you okay, son? Just got a strange call from Leora. Said there's an intruder in your house. Said he looks just like you. I couldn't speak. My throat was clamped shut. Just a fight, Brody, I finally managed to say. She's not well. That evening I tried to fix it. I was so stupid. I should have just left. I should have called a doctor. But all I could think was, I have to make her see me, the real me. When she came home, I was waiting. I didn't show her the diary. I just stood there, in the living room, my heart in my throat. Leora, I said, my voice shaking. We need to talk. She looked at me, her face pale and drawn. There were no tears. Her eyes were just empty. There's nothing to talk about, she said, her voice flat. Yes, there is, I pleaded, taking a step toward her. I'm me, Leora. It's Oren. I remember everything. I remember the night we met at the county fair, how you spilled mustard on your shirt. I remember our first apartment, the one with the leaky faucet I could never quite fix. I remember you. I reached for her, my hand outstretched. Please, honey. It's me. She looked at my hand, then back at my face. For a single, beautiful second, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Doubt. Hope. I thought I had her. I thought she was coming back to me. Then her eyes drifted down to my left arm, to the smooth, unblemished skin of my forearm. The hope in her eyes died. It was replaced by a look of absolute, soul-crushing certainty. You almost got that right, she whispered. Her voice was hollow. He hated mustard. Before I could process what she said, she moved. She wasn't reaching for her purse on the floor. Her hand came out from behind her back. I saw the glint of steel, the big kitchen knife, the one that had been missing. Leora. No, I didn't even feel it at first. Just a hard shove in my chest. Then a searing, white-hot fire erupted behind my ribs. The world tilted, the colors bleeding together. The last thing I saw was her face, twisted in a mask of terror and grief. She was looking down at me, the bloody knife trembling in her hand. Oren, she sobbed. My Oren, I'm so sorry. Then, nothing. I woke up here. The doctors said I was lucky. The knife missed my heart by less than an inch. Leora was gone, vanished. Brody came by yesterday. He took my statement, his face a grim mask. He promised they'd find her. As he was leaving, he turned at the door. Hey man, when you get out of here, we should finally take that fishing trip up to Miller's Creek. You still owe me for that lure you lost." I just stared at him. Miller's Creek? I've never been fishing with Brody in my life. I've never been fishing, period. I hate it. He must have seen the confusion on my face, because he just frowned, shook his head, and left. I've been lying here for hours since then, watching the dust motes dance in the sliver of sunlight from the window. Just a few minutes ago, a nurse helped me get up to use the bathroom. I caught my reflection in the small mirror over the sink. My face was a pale, bruised mess. But I wasn't looking at the bruises. I was looking at my arm. My left arm, draped in a hospital gown. There, on my forearm, just below the elbow, was a long, jagged, white line. An old scar, puckered and ugly. The kind of scar a kid would get from tearing his arm open on a rusty barbed wire fence. It's a nasty looking thing. I can't stop touching it. I wonder how I got it.